And we are back with another one, guys. We're going to get straight to it. And this one is really getting to the heart of an issue that a lot of men and women struggle with, right? Um, it's something that's extremely common, unfortunately. And you've got a lot of people who do not know what to do with it, right? So we got Godfrey, who is a comedian, very famous comedian, extremely funny, but he's talking about his struggles with P addiction. Y'all know what the P stands for, right? Yeah. So anyway, guys, I want you to watch until the end because a lot of you who are watching this may actually still be struggling with this issue. But at the end, I'm going to give you 3 practical tips that helped me overcome this issue when I was struggling. And hopefully it adds value. And I want you guys to find freedom from this issue because it plagues a lot of men and women today. But without further ado, let's get straight to this video.
Willy-nilly.
When you were looking at magazines, there was no big deal. You know, when you're like, oh, there's a magazine, when you're like 11, 12, oh, there's more magazine. No big deal. But then I'm telling you,
That's where it starts, guys. For a lot of us, like, especially people, I'm 33, but a lot of people our age, there was no internet when we first got started on this, right? The first thing I saw was a magazine. Then it was around the time, like some of the first Windows editions started coming out. We got a computer and it was one of those issues where you go on there, you see a pop-up, you're clicking, and before you know it, all these pop-ups start coming up and you can't exit out. So now these images are like burned into your mind, right? You can't help but think about it as a young boy. I was exposed to it at 8, right? So between the internet and some videos that I found in my parents' room, that's how it all started. Way too much for someone at that age to be exposed to. Way too much. You can't even process that, right? But let's hear what he has to say about it.
I got, not even in college did I really watch any of that. It was like when I got to doing comedy, I moved to New York. It was like every other block had a DVD sex shop. It was like in the Village. It was everywhere. And I would get porn in the daytime. I was going in there like it was a library, a bookstore.
In the
I had no
daytime.
shame. It was, you know how you go at night and you look around, and you're like, I don't want nobody to see me. Man,
That's one of the biggest issues right there. I don't want nobody to see me. Why? Because you're shameful about it. That's the whole problem with the cycle. It's like you watch it because, it does something for you, right? It feeds a need that you have. Then from there, you turn around and go to, I hate that I did that. I feel horrible for doing that. I don't want anybody to see me, right? There's a reason why you don't want anyone to know that you do this. There's a reason why you keep it secret, right? Because it is a shameful act. Like, you don't want anyone to know that you're doing that, right? But in keeping the secrets and keeping the shame, you start to wear that. And that's part of where the problem sets in.
just be like,
Since you have a certain
and
fetish.
And the Indian dudes be like, hey, go do a good one for you. Yeah, that was the regular.
So LJ trying to get
Out here luring him in as a young man to because it's about the money. It's a business, right? They know that sex sells and they're going to do whatever it takes to keep that money coming in. They're not thinking about morals. They're not thinking about values. They're not thinking about how this could potentially hurt someone in the long run. What they care about in the moment is you being a consumer. And when you go online, it's the same thing. It's no different, right? You look at OnlyFans, you look at any website. The reason that they continuously are one of the biggest drivers when it comes to how much the industry is pulling in per year is because they keep on getting more consumers. And the more they can convince you to escape using that method, the more they're going to keep on pitching you. It's like an algorithm, right? So like if you go on Instagram or you go on any social media, Twitter, whatever, what you are watching, you're going to start seeing more of that in your feed, right? But the difference is like this feed is in your head. So once you watch that explicit content and it does something for you, you're going to want to keep going back to get that dopamine hit over and over again, right? And the issue with it is that the hunger that it once fed is not good enough anymore. Like eventually you get tired of the basic stuff that you started out with, right? Like at one point, looking at a magazine did it for you. Then you graduated to video. Then you graduated to certain types of videos. And it just keeps on building from there. And this is the problem. And this is why I feel like for young men especially, right? Young men and women, right? We need to address this issue and understand how serious it is, because it's having some serious negative repercussions on the back end.
You a strip joint dude?
Yeah, at one point.
Oh, really? I never understood it. I would go every once in a while with a bunch of cats, but I just didn't. I didn't get that. But then I had stacks of in the crib, but I didn't get the stripper. I was like, what? I don't.
You know, me and
Pick your poison. I mean, when it comes to sex, people have all different kinds of appetites, right? So whether it's going to the strip club, which the same was for me, that wasn't a thing for me. Some people like that. Some people like explicit content. Some people want to actually go and meet up with people and pay to have things done. Some people like all three, but the appetite started somewhere. So the quicker that we can nip this thing in the butt and get you away from that lifestyle and living that secretive life, the better it is going to be for you. Let's keep going.
and one of my mans, we used to go like a lot. It almost seemed like out of depression.
You heard what he just said. Him and I guess some of his boys or whatever used to go, and it seemed out of depression. When you are depressed, when you are in a state of depression, anxiety, whatever, what is it that you try to do? You try to escape that feeling. And us as men, so many times, so often, we are scared to sit with the feelings that we have. We don't want to do the work and get into the root of why we feel the way that we feel, right? And addressing those issues. Instead of facing ourselves, we want to find a method of escape. And a lot of times that go-to escape comes in the form of sex.
Out of depression with our women that we was with at the time.
Oh,
like we would just like almost go there like to get away from them.
But see, after going through all of this time of that being your method of escape, the problem is that you have a hard time undoing that, right? So now, as a man or a woman, you have to go to therapy to undo years of you using this as a method of escape. Because now what's happened is like in your mind, it's become your go-to. Oh, when I feel uncomfortable, this is what I'm gonna run to. Like your mind, it's like autopilot. You don't even really think about it, right? It's almost like driving a car. Like when you hop in the car, you see that red light, you automatically know to stop. You're not even thinking about it. It's the same thing. So when you encounter a negative situation, something hard comes up in your life, adversity, anxiety, anything like that, you automatically go to what's my escape. This is how I'm going to feel good, right? But I wanted to make sure that I left you guys with some practical tips on how to overcome this issue. Okay. So we're going to jump right into that. All right, so we're going to get into 3 practical tips to help you guys overcome what has become such a prevalent issue, right? This explicit content issue. So the first thing that I would recommend to do that helped me is to tell somebody that you're struggling. I don't care if it's your spouse. If you're married, preferably, let your spouse know that you're struggling with this in secret. They will more than likely not have the greatest reaction to it when they find out that you've been hiding something from them, but at least tell them, because you're not supposed to be going through that alone, especially when you're in a marriage, right? Like, you should be able to share that with your spouse, right? So letting someone know, opening up your mouth and telling somebody, I don't care if it's your spouse, a friend, a therapist, whatever, let somebody know, okay? Number 2, cut your access off, at least for the time being. So if this means that you have to go on your phone, and this is what I did, honestly, disable your app store. Get some type of accountability software on your computers and phones, and give the access to somebody that you feel like you could be open and honest with, right? The goal is for you to be the one to reach out to the accountability partner before you act out, right? You want true accountability. That's when you reach out first. Let the other person know, right? And in doing this, you're starting to form good habits of being aware of what it is that you're dealing with, you're struggling with, what you're feeling. So you can reach out to one of your boys, or if you're a lady, one of your girlfriends, and let them know, hey, I'm having these thoughts right now. I'm struggling with work, whatever it is, right? Be open and honest. Find someone who you can do that with. If you don't have someone you can do that with, you could actually pay to have accountability partners, right? There are groups and therapy that you can do to have someone that you can share this type of stuff with, right? Also, you want to start forming good habits aside from the habit of expressing how it is that you're feeling to people that you trust, right? You want to eat well, sleep well, exercise, spending time alone with your own thoughts. Like for me, that looked like getting up early in the morning, spending some time with God, meditating on His Word. Like all of these things were super important because I got to hash out a lot of my feelings and emotions so that I could be emotionally intelligent and not so reactive, right? And it created space between the thought of acting out and the reaction, which was crucial for me, okay? Because like I said before, it was like being on autopilot, okay? And number 3, you want to get into a community or some form of therapy where you can be open and honest about your struggles, right? So there's group therapy and there's individual therapy, either one, both, whatever. You want to be able to get into the constant rhythm of sharing what your struggles are. Okay? You want to. What was so helpful for me was knowing that I was not alone in this. There are other people who are struggling with the same issues. Some less than what I was struggling with, some more than what I was struggling with. And it was crucial to my success to have that community around me. One of the biggest issues with men and women going through this is that they try to do it alone, right? They try to deal with these emotions and these feelings that they're dealing with all by themselves and try to hash it out, which that only serves you for so long. We are not meant to do this or life period alone. We have to have community. But the reason that I would love for you guys to take these 3 things at least to start, right? There may be other things that you may need to implement, different kinds of therapy. There's EMDR, I believe there's another one called ART therapy. But at least to start with this. At least to start with this, because if you read the Bible, it talks about how you are to flee from sexual immorality, right? So when I hear the word flee, that means to run. This is your form of running. This is how you run from it, right? So I hope you guys hear this, you take action, and you move forward in taking the steps necessary. This is not an overnight thing. Keep in mind, you've been doing this for years, right? I mean, I know guys who have been struggling with this for 20, 30, 40 years. It is not going to be an overnight thing, right? And we'll do other videos on this topic, but if your spouse is expecting that from you, you need to set a clear expectation up front. Like, this is not an excuse for me to act however I want to do, but however, just give me some time to sort these things out that I'm dealing with, because it's been a practice of mine for years. Set the expectation up front. Okay? I hope this video was valuable for you guys. And I mean, it's good to see that you are not the only one struggling, like I said, right? So hopefully you guys got a lot out of this video. And if you like content like this, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when more videos like this come out. I really enjoy covering things like this for you guys because I think it can help you guys have some freedom. Okay? I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.